That's the title of my lecture. I don't know where that came from. Okay. Yes, reflection on teaching the undergraduates. University of Ottawa. Okay. Well, I'm going to take a slightly different tack than the preceding two professors have taken. I'm going to talk more about the system rather than the nature of what it is I'm teaching. But I want to talk for a few minutes about improving the quality of the student experience and improving the quality of undergraduate education altogether. And economist that I am, I immediately think about incentives, and in particular to reform the system under which I was raised and trained, the publish or perish mantra. In my view, the total abyss of publish and perish was reached about 15 years ago or so when I was an assistant professor. And they warned me that at this present time it might not be tenure for you. I think that things have gotten a little bit better, not just at the University of Ottawa, but overall since then. For instance, really horrible teachers do feel the pressure. Before then, all instructors, all teachers were viewed as just totally interchangeable between sections, between universities, etc. Almost all identical, and the only thing that anyone ever cared about was research. So I do think that some improvement has been made in the culture of not only University of Ottawa, but overall in academia. But it is still true today that great teachers are valued only within their own institutions, and true reform will not arrive until we start seeing other universities and colleges trying to recruit professors on their teaching profile rather than solely on their research profile. And on the margin, I do believe that there is still insufficient incentive to be generous towards the students. So our teaching is evaluated regularly, and you're supposed to get decent evaluations. But once again, thinking like an economist, on the margin, do I spend this extra hour doing a better job and writing more comments in the exams and essays a student, or do I spend this extra hour giving them a review session, which I do very frequently, or do I spend this extra hour with my research and trying to get another paper published? So on the margin, there still is not a great incentive for me to spend a lot of time and effort and energy on my teaching activities. One reform that has occurred in recent years, which just didn't exist when I first came here at the University of Ottawa, is teaching intensive positions. And so we now have those at the University of Toronto, and I think many Canadian universities have permanent teaching intensive positions, which unlike many of my colleagues among our union, I strongly favor that option, provided that we pay them a bit more than minimum wage when they teach 8 courses instead of the standard load of 4 courses. Okay. Now, I'm going to give a plug for my particular area of expertise and my particular technology of teaching with a rather outrageous statement that huge classes are not all bad. About 7 years ago or so, the university thought that they would do me a big favor by creating a second section of Economics 1104 that went head-to-head with my section. The idea was to take my heavy load and divide it into two. Well, the very opposite happened. Within a week or so, I ended up with a huge rush of 50 students who transferred from that section into my section. And I went to the dean and I said, "Does this tell you anything?" Okay? And that is that yes, students might moan a bit about class size, but quality trumps quantity any day as far as the students are concerned. And so I think that for first-year courses in particular, those huge intro courses are not necessarily bad, provided that the right instructor is matched to the right course, and that's one of the reasons. It alleviates quality control problems. Even if we had infinite funding at the University of Ottawa, it simply would not be possible for us to hire qualified instructors to take all 2,000 or so of our first-year students and divide them into 30 student sections. We just don't have enough people in Canada who are qualified to do that task. And so I think that it makes sense under certain circumstances, under certain courses, to have 400 students in front of the right professor. And, once again, thinking like an economist, we can reallocate very, very scarce teaching resources to where they are desperately needed at the third and fourth year level, because the writing and grading of essays is an incredibly labor-intensive process. That is the stage where you really do need the small class. Okay, third point I wanted to make is what role can students take in the improvement of the quality of undergraduate teaching and learning. And that is that I think that they should assert themselves and demand better teachers be hired, better teachers be recruited, better teachers be rewarded and promoting. But what is the preoccupation of the Student Federation? They are fixated solely on tuition and access issues. You know, when those Quebec students wearing their red tags were blocking traffic in downtown Montreal, they weren't saying, "Give us better teachers." No, they were saying, "Give us free education." Access, access, access. Even though the economic research has shown that high tuition is simply not a barrier to access to higher education. So I think that they should diversify their pressure and their lobbying activities and put more pressure on the administration to try to improve the quality of teaching. And they should also use the course evaluations to their highest potential. So, if the quality of teaching in a certain course is of poor quality, but the professor seems to be pretty friendly, instead of giving him or her 4 out of 5, use the entire scale. Don't give them a 0, perhaps, but yeah, use the entire scale. You know, we don't give everyone in our class A+, A, or A-, so the students shouldn't grade every professor highly except for those that are real jerks. And if the teaching is of high quality, but you don't care for his or her personality, you really should give 5 out of 5 instead of 1 out of 5. Once again, it's incentives for better performance with teaching. Oh yeah, you could also show up for class on evaluation day. Better yet, I tell my own students, why don't you just attend class? And give lots of feedback to department chairs and report dereliction of duty. This is something that I've done. In my own class, I found out that certain professors were routinely dismissing their 3-hour classes an hour and a half early, and there was one part-time professor who was teaching 2 different courses simultaneously at the same time and running back and forth between these 2 classes. For some reason, I had one of my students tell me about this. I was the one who had to go to the provost's office saying, "How can you allow this to happen?" And they said, "Okay, we have upgraded our algorithms, so there shouldn't be any more scheduling conflicts." But anyways, yes, give more feedback to the department chair and report those, fortunately, rare but still real occurrences of dereliction of duty and courses with very, very skimpy content. Oh, and last one, I guess I'm out of time. Do not rely excessively on modern teaching technologies. When I started, it was all chalk and talk and mimeograph photocopy technology. And over the past 25 years or so, it appears to me as though student performance has not improved one iota despite this technological revolution. So people seem to be using the internet, etc., as a substitute for the heavy lifting involved in learning.